It doesn't matter what a woman says to us, we always feel how she really treats us. Whether she considers us smart, strong, handsome, whether she values us or not. And this greatly affects our well-being. You might have noticed that your self-esteem varied with different women. In some relationships, you were like a tiger, and in others, you whimpered like a dog. And the reason is that none of us can evaluate ourselves objectively. We tend to trust the judgments of those close to us, but even then, we can't fully rely on our mothers or friends in this matter. These are biased people who will say good things about us no matter the situation. That's why when you choose a woman for a relationship, you're not just choosing a partner or someone to watch a movie with, you're deciding how you're going to feel about yourself, who you'll consider yourself to be for the next few years. You'll either live like a king or like a slave. Your self-esteem, first and foremost, depends on how she treats you, and only after that on your achievements. Any man who says, "No, it doesn't work like that," has most likely never been in a long-term or family relationship. He doesn't understand what he's talking about. Maybe one day he'll find out, he'll realize that even a single glance from his wife can be an invisible slap in the face. She doesn't even need to say anything. One look is enough to humiliate you. The most important things in a relationship happen at the level of these reactions, glances, gestures, tone of voice, not at the level of words. And the shift into a weak position begins exactly there. Just remember, when a girl looked at you with loving eyes, you were full of strength and determination. But when coldness appeared in her gaze, you deflated like a balloon. Your anxiety level spiked like your pulse before a fight. That's why I'm categorically against a man silently enduring these small signs of female disrespect. If you don't notice in time that your authority is crumbling in her eyes, one day you'll wake up and realize that your opinion in the relationship no longer matters. Even if you're the CEO of a company, after a few years of living together, any woman will see you as nobody. If a woman has the habit of considering someone close to her as worthless by default, then that's the end. Even if you're Elon Musk or Alexander the Great, it's over. It's a trap. And the most dangerous manipulator is the woman who first takes a man for a ride in a Ferrari, giving a huge boost to his self-esteem. She skillfully chooses the right words to fill the deficit of recognition. She finds your vulnerabilities and gives you the right psychological affirmations. Every day you receive ego injections. And when you get used to this boost in self-worth, and suddenly it all stops, for example, you break up, you start running after her like a headless chicken. She inflates her self-esteem like a soap bubble. With her, you're everything, without her, nothing. It often happens, you were a hero, and then she mercilessly crushes you like a loser. Hopefully, you've never met women like that, and never will. Much more often, after a few years of being together, a woman starts to see you as an average person. And you can see it, how she says goodbye when you leave for work, how she greets you when you come home late at night, how she looks at other men. And if her attitude toward you is bad, eventually, everything starts falling out of your hands. Over the years, you start believing that you're just a boring, gray man, that there's nothing special or good about you. But that's not true. I had a similar experience. I started a relationship with a girl, and at the same time, I was trying to find myself in something new. Launching projects, trying out different business ideas, but in the end, nothing worked. There wasn't even a hint of a positive result. And month by month, her attitude toward me started to change. At first, I didn't notice it, of course. I'm absolutely sure her friends were telling her things like, "Why do you need him? Just find a successful guy already. Are you going to drag him along your whole life?" Her father probably repeated the same tune. And eventually, near the end of our relationship, I started to feel like a failure. Seriously. I developed a persistent feeling that I was a weak person. One day I realized, it wasn't about the failed projects, it was about how I felt based on how my woman currently saw me. If I stayed in that relationship, I would be accepting her evaluations as fair. The danger is that when disrespect comes in small doses, the brain might not even register them. You stop seeing the difference between normal female behavior and outright insults. Her complaints, shouting, and insults become something habitual, like background noise outside the window. Women often claim that a man can only be respected for something. Well, this statement is very cynical. In this case, a woman is not aspiring to the role of a helper, but rather an investor who simply assesses the practicality of her investments. According to this logic, if a man slows down somewhere or encounters problems, he becomes a losing asset that it's long past time to get rid of. To be honest, I've never seen men gather and seriously discuss, should I continue dating her? Her productivity isn't that great, her pelvis is narrow, childbirth will probably be difficult, and her genetics are questionable, should I get involved in this or not? I've never heard such discussions from men. Unfortunately, with women, this often happens. She sweetly kisses her man on the cheek and says, "I'm meeting my friends today," but 20 minutes later, she's sitting in a cafe, sipping coffee, discussing whether she should look for a better option. Someone might say there are lazy men who don't want anything from life, but I would say that 99% of men want to find their place in this life, they simply don't have a clear plan. So if your boyfriend or husband seems incapable of achieving this, it's not because he's lazy, but because he doesn't know, he's afraid, he's insecure, and that's it. He doesn't need a slap in the face, he needs your help. A woman is the closest and most important source of feedback. You might move mountains and earn millions, but if she looks at you and calls you a loser, your brain will fixate precisely on that. Any woman's word is either fuel or poison. Either she looks at you with respect, and you grow, or she looks at you with contempt, and you decay. If you don't want to become the author of comments like, "Why didn't I know this 8 years ago? My life would have been different," then you finally need to subscribe to the channel and start watching the videos.